break.
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Brisker.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Miller Lite with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
Well, some changes on the Bears roster one day after making the cut to their first 53. We'll break it down here on Bears Weekly. This is episode 164, and we're brought to you by Miller Lite. With Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Coming up in the program, we'll hear from special teams coordinator Richard Hightower. Also, we will hear from veteran safety Kevin Byard, who met the media at the podium earlier on Wednesday. We knew this was going to happen. It's happened all over the course of the league. We had a podcast a couple days ago, right after the 53 was set for the first time, but now you got waiver claims and changes on the roster that may or may not impact Week 1. The addition of a linebacker, DeMarco Jackson, fifth-round pick out of New Orleans, 3 years with Dennis Allen, primarily a special teams player. And then Jalen Jones, back with the Bears after his release by Arizona, which necessitates some really interesting roster maneuvering because Devin Duvernay, who we thought would be the leading candidate to be the return specialist, and Scott Daly, the long snapper, they have been let go. Now, they're vested veterans. They're not up to waiver claims, so they're not going to be in danger of being brought back on another team that way. But it is an interesting move right before Week 1 of the season when they start practicing next week.
Yeah, but it's familiarity. We talked about Ryan Poles and his staff sitting there with 1,000 guys that have been released from these teams, and they're going to do an relentless evaluation of every one of these guys. And so if Dennis Allen has a positive experience with the player from New Orleans, or we have a guy in the past that has had a positive experience with the Bears, all of a sudden they are out there and they are valuable when you need them the most, bring them aboard. And they're kind of guys that we use that phrase plug and play. These two guys are plug and play.
Yeah, certainly for special teams without Travis Homer and Amin Agbagbamiga unavailable for the first month of the season. These will be things that Richard Hightower will closely observe. I felt Richard today thanked everybody, and we'll hear a portion of his news conference. Tone with him today, it was much more serious. Even though it's last official day of camp, we got Week 1 coming up, and there's some uncertainty on his special teams unit, which is always the case for the special teams coordinator. Who's available on what day, what numbers are you going to have offensively or defensively at the key positions at wide receiver, linebacker, defensive back that may or may not allow him to use certain players. So you can sense the tide turning a little bit in the seriousness of everything.
I don't think people understand the difficulty of the special team coordinator's job in the NFL because your job is never done. Every single week you're going over the history, the ability, and what the players can kind of contribute to your special teams. And it is changes week in and week out because of the roster changes. And Richard Hightower has done a great job since he's been here. I expect him to continue to do the same, but it's just a job that is never done, no matter how healthy of a team you have.
How do you tell a cashier you're a Bears fan without telling them you're a Bears fan? With the Chicago Bears PNC Bank Visa debit card, which gets you exclusive discounts on Bears merchandise. Find out more at pnc.com/BearsCard. Practice squad also put together. Again, this is a fluid situation. I believe they still have an opening for one, but each team gets 16. You do the math. That's some 500 players that get an opportunity to be around the building after putting themselves in a position to succeed by getting evaluated over the course of the offseason and through training camp. And some of these guys that, and we'll go down the list, I was excited to see a guy like Maurice Alexander. I think it's a veteran that is comfortable with Ben Johnson and vice versa. Tom is versatile. He is a tough player at receiver, and he's an outstanding special teams return man as well, Maurice Alexander. And then at the same position, Miles Boykin, who looked good before an injury, took him back out of the mix in terms of the final 53.
Yeah, but every one of these guys on the practice squad, you see them in a different colored jersey each week because they're representing an opponent's high-profile position player. So if you have a guy like Maurice Alexander who can go in there and wear the jersey of Justin Jefferson week 1, and he can emulate his type of skill and his type of athleticism, it can't go understated how important it is. So the type of practice squad you put together that can go out there and put together a pitcher week in and week out and possibly be elevated to the active game day roster and then have to contribute snaps, it can't go as understated how important it is in the modern day NFL.
Also undrafted rookie J.P. Richardson also was impressive before an injury sidelined him. He's on the practice squad. We'll stick with offense. Britton Brown, Tom, he impressed me running the football against the Kansas City Chiefs. He did so with some vigor, a power back, it appears, a guy who also can catch the football, a smart player. He was really getting tutored closely at practice with every rep coming to the sidelines with his running back coach, Eric Bieniemy. So he's all ears. He looks the part, and I like the fact that he's back in the mix.
I do too. He's going to get active snaps this year in the NFL. He went from the very first time we saw him with the limited amount of practice snaps. He was out there and he was given the effort and the performance that you needed to see at a newly brought aboard position player. So he's going to play, but he's also going to give you the best effort weekly in demonstrating the running back position.
Offensive lineman Jordan McFadden comes back, as well as tight end Stephen Carlson. They put up some good camp tape. Ricky Stromberg, who can play center and guard, also in that mix on the offensive line. And long snapper Luke Elkin, the Iowa rookie undrafted free agent. Those are all the offensive players. Any thoughts on any of those guys that stick out?
You got to understand that when you do the demonstration squad of your opponent, that you have to have 5 offensive linemen out there. So if you can have a player that can play multiple positions per week, and maybe he can demonstrate the strength of their offensive line, or just play a position that you need that guy on the spot, it's an important role. And back in the olden days of the NFL, when I was there, we all played the demonstration squad. Nowadays, you have these guys that are on the practice player, whether it's defensive line or offensive line, that they have to go out there and give their best effort in one of those jerseys that are going to need to be accountable for week in and week out.
With that being said, 4 defensive linemen in the same category as you speak, right? The undrafted rookie out of Cal, Xavier Carlton, who had a nice play against the Kansas City Chiefs in the finale. Tano Passanone mentioned the day before about being a little bit surprised, but he made it to the practice squad. The former Saint with Dennis Allen. Jamri Croma has flashed some good pass rush reps from time to time. And Jonathan Ford, I'm intrigued by.
Every one of those guys are very good football players. I think they're going to make the offensive line better about the way they go about practice. But I think every one of them, if you had to elevate to the active squad on a moment's notice, they wouldn't disappoint you.
Yeah, Jonathan Ford has got the size. He made that great play, tackle for loss in his first game against the Packers, his first NFL game last season. And there was a play. What was it? Was it during the scrimmage at Soldier Field when he blew who'd he blow up? I forgot.
Yes.
It was a great play. If that play happened in a game, we'd be losing our minds.
Right. But, he's the type of guy that he's got a little bit more height and size that you want to have. And so you never know where his career is going to result as this opportunity.
Good news. Chicago United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears and you too. Now to the secondary. Trey Flowers, the veteran defensive back with a lot of experience, and Mekhi Garner, a late addition to the Bears roster in the preseason. He also is a big, tall defensive back, so you can't miss him when he's on the field. Those 2 guys also added to the practice squad.
That's what they're super fortunate to be around, like a guy like Al Harris, because he's never going to stop coaching them. And if he sees that you have the talent and the length that he admires in a defensive back, he's going to continuously give you his knowledge to see if you can improve and be a guy that maybe they consider for a roster opportunity.
All right, at this point, let's listen in to Richard Hightower, the Bears special teams coordinator, at the podium on Wednesday to talk about, the unending changes that a special teams unit and where it's at heading into the opening week practice sessions for the 2025 season.
Yeah, man, I don't want to understate the fact that you're asking about Eamon and Homer, that they're really good contributors for us. They do an outstanding job. They are productive as heck. But that happens in this business. So the young guys have been challenged and they got to step up. And it's time to rock and roll. So let's go. It's what we live for.
What do you like about Jalen Johnson?
Well, we like Jalen defensively and we like him on special teams as well as DeMarco. So looking forward to both of those guys coming in and helping us on defense and on special teams.
Can you take us back to Friday night when Jade makes that the tackle on kickoff return right after the touchdown? I mean, is that a sort of moment that like seals it for you when you see a guy of, when you're in these meetings and they're cutting down the roster being somebody you stand behind?
Yeah, well, the thing about you're asking about Jade. The thing about Jade is he's been the same guy since he got here in the offseason. So he loves football. He works his tail off. And we were excited to see him make that play, and we're excited to see how he can help us in the future.
HT, how do you describe his manner? A lot of other coaches have talked about how infectious kind of his energy is, but how would you describe who he is?
Passionate, loves football, sits in the front row like you are right now. Is in the front row all the time, always asking questions, not kiss butt questions, real questions. So, in that way, I've seen a guy that really cares about football. And he's earned his opportunity. Now is really time for him to get to work and prove that he deserves the opportunity. You got to prove that every day in the NFL, every day.
Richard, what's your assessment of Torrey Taylor's camp?
Yeah, really good camp. Hit the ball really well. Finished the Kansas City game strong. He is coming into his own, I think, hitting the stride for the season, and that's what we want. So. Yeah, he's done a nice job. He works his tail off at it. He cares a lot.
Back to Jade, did he have a lot of special teams experience in college? I guess I'm wondering how much of this is new to him.
Yeah, I mean, some of it is new to him, but he did do some things in college which we looked at and we liked and we scouted. Not only from our scouting department, and then they gave it to us and we looked at it. So those guys in the scouting department do a phenomenal job. They work year-round to identify talent that could help in all areas, not just special teams, offense, defense, special teams. So it was on tape.
Is your return game where you want it to be?
Is my return game where I want it to be? No, I want a touchdown every time. I want a touchdown every week. So there's never be there because we will never be satisfied, no matter how many plays we make.
Richard, what are a couple things Hardy's done to earn your trust?
Make plays. All you got to do is make plays. When you make plays, you earn more and more trust. So we talk about building up money in the emotional bank account. So the more plays you make, the more money you got in our emotional bank account. Less plays you make, you don't have any money in there. So everybody like money in their bank account, right? There you go.
One thing you can always count on from Hightower, he's passionate about his guys, and he's also no nonsense also.
And he realizes what these guys are up against, whether it's a punter like Torrey Taylor or a guy like Jalen Jones or whomever that he's going to have on the special teams. He realizes their role is super important to. He's a coordinator, and he's a coordinator of a position that's as equally as important as offense and defense. And so Richard Hightower gives you the best effort. He gives you a demanding voice out there at practice, and he understands that maybe he'll expect an offensive player to be a tackler and a defensive player to be a blocker.
Introducing Cruz Blanca, a line of Mexican-American premium cervezas, bold, vibrant, and brewed right here in the U.S. It's the perfect beer for tailgates, backyard grills, and post-touchdown celebrations. Celebrate responsibly, Chicago. Let's move over to Kevin Byard. Earlier in the week, he's become quite the spokesman, obviously, for this football team, a leader. Players look up to him. He's certainly reliable, dependable, and always at practice. He doesn't miss practices. He never has in his career, and that was held true this year as well during the preseason. A lot of great things to say about his head coach, Ben Johnson, also Dennis Allen, and some other topics. Kevin Byard looking at the big picture here for 2025 with the Bears.
It's always there in the back of my mind. I mean, ever since the schedule was released. In the front of my mind, I always try to focus on the day. Obviously, this is one of those weeks where it's kind of like, as a team, and obviously as the head coach, we want to focus on ourselves. This is like a great fundamentals week. getting great condition, make sure we're not just taking, the week off or nothing like that. It's really focused on ourselves. But at the same time, I am and I will be taking some peeks of some film from Minnesota this week to just try to start getting my mind prepped for, obviously who we're going to go up against, but also kind of watching some previous games as far as like Minnesota versus New Orleans, or maybe even like some LA games, just because of like, all coaches come from the same trees, or kind of like the McVay tree. So I'll be watching some of those games just to see like some plays that maybe it worked those games for, like say the Rams ran a great play. The Rams might be watching that film like, hey, that works really good against DA. Let's bring that back. So I'll just be doing some miscellaneous stuff. And then obviously once we get the game plan, then I'll kind of just lock in on that next week.
Kevin, as you head for the regular season, what would you describe as DA's superpower?
Like I said, I personally look at he's very militant minded. That's kind of how I say, like, if you see the way he works the room, commands the room, you would think like he's a commanding officer in the army or something like that. And we're like the troops or whatever. So he does a great job of really getting guys kind of, in the right mindset to go out there and play a game and treat it, as such, like as if like we're going to war, you know what I mean? But obviously we all know he's an aggressive play caller. He's an aggressive, just the style and the mentality he wants his defense to be. So I think that's something that you will see for him, not only just the first game, but just, you can just watch the film and he comes from that style. He comes from a coaching tree that, you've seen in the preseason. One game he called double safety blitzes like 6 times in one game, and they all work, you know what I mean? And it's like he's not going to be scared to go get after somebody.
What has Jaquan's energy brought back to the defense now that he's healthy?
Yeah, I mean, he just brings a certain level of intensity and a tone-setting mindset that I think that it's just great. You know what I mean? I know you guys be out there at practice, see like before the team periods, he's like yelling and all that. Like, I don't know how he does it every single day. I mean, I don't have that energy no more. I never really had that energy just to waste before the play. But yeah, man, like I said, love his mentality. Love that he's back out there healthy. I know even for him, this training camp and even some of the games was big for him. Just kind of, I would say, kind of getting over the hump of like going back out there and hitting people again. You know what I mean? So I know he's feeling good. He's feeling very confident. I'm excited to see what he does this year.
Are you more excited that DA is more willing to send y'all on more pressure packages? Do you look forward to getting more opportunities to get in the backfield and be disruptive?
No, absolutely. I love the ability and the chance to be able to blitz. I know Jaquan is as well. Honestly, in the game on Friday, it wasn't able to get called, but the first play he wanted to call Jaquan on the blitz, but it was kind of formation where we kind of sit the linebacker. But he wants to be aggressive. He wants to send the safeties, and we love that. We love to be able to pressure teams. I mean, personally, I would love to just send 4 and we all can drop in zones, and if we can get home with 4, we can really make a lot of plays on the ball. But I mean, if anytime he's going to send me, myself, Jaquan, I know for a fact he's going to send Kyler for sure because he's a great blitzer. Anytime we can all get in there and get some sacks and stuff like that, it's great for the team and great for this defense. And but personally, I want to get interceptions. But if I can get a sack or 2 every year, it's always good. Yeah.
A lot of teams will be optimistic about the regular season, and then the regular season starts and reality hits. How do you know in your group when it's different? How do you know it's different?
Well, we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, just be 100. You don't know. And like I said, all 32 teams are all saying the same things right now. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, the talk really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's about really the work that we're going to put in, the work we've been putting in, and kind of just watching it all, pay off. You know what I mean? I don't really think that this is the time to change up who we are, change up what we're doing, or anything like that. It's all about just going out there and executing. As we get into week 1, it's going to be a lot more hype. You know what I mean? We know it's going to be a Monday night game. It's going to be super loud, the crowd, this and that. For me, I just try to stay even keel throughout it all. You know what I mean? I just trust the work and the preparation that I put in. And at that point, it's just like, let go and let God. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know how this season's going to go. We can only just focus on what's right now. And so I think we had a really good practice. We're going to have another practice tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, I'll take some time with my family, kind of just reset my mind, having some gratitude for finishing the training camp. But then after that, we're just locked in on the process. You know what I mean? And I think can't really think too far outside of that. Just focus on the process. And I think if your process is right, and if everybody's process is right, I think we'll get the results that we want.
So having Byard and Brisker together for the whole season, obviously Byard's been able to do that. Jaquan has not. Hopefully that will be the case here in 2025. In terms of relevance and importance to the overall picture of the defense, Where would you rank that of importance?
It's significant in this defense, but the whole time that I was listening to Kevin Byard, I was thinking about you. Because for the last 29 years, all of you've been doing is talking about corner blitzes.
Yeah.
Kevin Byard, what was he talking about? Double safety blitzes, safety blitzes.
I'll take that
blitzes
too.
Called early in the game. But, when you think about a guy like Kevin Byard and his intelligence and his durability and his reliability, I got a kick out of him when I heard him talking about the safety blitzes and Dennis Allen, because you might have to condense your vision a little bit during the broadcast and go from the exterior to the interior.
Right, and that's a fair statement to make because I'm always watching the ball. So I sometimes a safety comes out of nowhere. Sometimes I don't absolutely see it. You, as an analyst and an offensive lineman yourself, you're looking from the inside out as well, correct?
Listen, that interview will make me pay total different attention to the safeties than we have from the corner. The corners you can kind of see creeping up, and then they're when you're as an offensive lineman, they're identified as a possibility. But now you get these safety blitzes, and they may come from way back in the defensive backfield. They may start creeping up during the cadence. So I'm going to have a new appreciation for interior blitzes.
Yeah, and, many years ago I started calling, the defensive alignment in addition to the offensive alignment. So pressing corners off, soft on the slot, twin safeties, one safety, middle of the field, because of the notion that quarterbacks, that's where they look first, right? Brian Greasy always took me into a studio and watching tape. What are you looking at? I'm looking at the safety first. Now, what are they going to do? Is the field open or closed there? And it gives you a opening into the idea of what might be called. So I do, but, like a quarterback, it's like an Etch-a-Sketch. At the snap, they drop their head to see the ball. That one safety might now have a pair of safeties back there, or that middle safety may have moved out of the box, and the box safety may have moved deep. So there, you got to pay attention. It moves quickly in a span of a tick of a second, and it's why quarterbacks have to deal with so much, and you understand what is exactly on their plate when you're trying to call that stuff, even as a play-by-play guy.
Yeah, you got J.J. McCarthy, first-year starting quarterback in the first Monday Night Football game. Crowd noise is going to be out of control, and Dennis Allen is going to try to take advantage of an opportunity of inexperienced, and maybe we'll see more of those.
Yeah, and you know what you always say, you want to pull the chain, right? You want to pull the quarterback's chain. Do you think Dennis Allen is an expert at pulling a quarterback's chain?
Of course. Listen, Dick Stanfeld, our offensive line coach, used to talk about it all the time. And great defensive coordinators are really good at something like that. But then if you think they're pulling your chain and then they bring that guy, one thing about offensive line play, Jeff, there's not a lot of accountability for the pass protection responsibilities of safeties. So if you don't have accountability for them, a lot of those guys have a free path to the quarterback.
You mentioned Dick Stanfield. I got to tell you, I got to share a little sidebar story because Tom talks about him. He's a Hall of Famer. He was a great offensive line coach for the Chicago Bears for their Super Bowl team, and someone very important to you. I happened to be watching the 1954 NFL championship game, the Detroit Lions and Cleveland Browns, and they gave the starting lineups for the day, and there was Dick Stanfield's name on there. But on the offensive line for the Cleveland Browns for that game, it's a former outstanding Hall of Fame NFL head coach. Do you know who it was?
Tell me.
Chuck Noll.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Chuck Noll. And there were others. I thought it caught my attention. Chuck Noll on the starting offensive line for the victorious Cleveland Browns, and that they walloped the Detroit Lions on that particular day.
I'm sure he played offensive guard.
Yeah, he definitely did. He definitely did. So Chuck Noll, the great Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. So that was kind of a cool walk down football memory lane. Well, before I was born and you were born, Tom. Are aches, pains, or injuries keeping you on the sidelines? Athletico's movement experts are here to help you turn your setbacks into comebacks and create a personalized game plan for your recovery. With no prescription or referral needed, Athletico Physical Therapy is where your comeback story begins. Athletico, proud to be the official physical therapy partner of the Chicago Bears. That being said, today's players, they don't know if their assistant, if he wasn't a prominent player, played in the NFL or not. Guys don't really talk about that. Bears have several coaches that we've alluded to, many. Al Harris, obviously, Antoine Randall, some others on this staff that had played at a high level in the National Football League. Do you wonder if the players go back and watch them, look on their YouTube highlights or ask for tape? Did you ever watch your offensive line coach perform in the NFL?
Let me tell you one of the greatest stories ever. We were in meetings, and we used to go reel to reel. So Jimbo Covert got a hold of NFL films, a couple plays of Dick Stanfield. The first play, he dominated. The second play, he got his head down, and he missed the block. And Jimbo spliced it inside the tape as we were watching in the meetings. And so Dick Stanfield said, "Oh my God, what are we looking at here?" And so we showed a picture of Dick Stanfield making a block. He goes, "Oh my God, look at this guy. He did a great job here. Look at." Then the second play, he missed the block. And he goes, "Oh my God, we don't have time for this. This is garbage." And so it was a great job by Jimbo Covert to be able to splice that tape in of Dick Stanfield, and it brought back a little bit of reality to us that sometimes you can have a great play, but sometimes you can have a play that isn't as great as the last play.
When Mexican heritage meets American brewing, game day gets an upgrade. Cruz Blanca, Cerveza refreshed. Proud partner of the Chicago Bears. All right, Tom, so training camp now officially, from a Ben Johnson definition, certainly no fans in here, but training camp ended on Wednesday. Now comes a break in terms of the players until possibly Monday or Tuesday. We don't have that scheduled just yet, but it will be a Monday week schedule, so typically that would mean that Tuesday is Monday and Wednesday is, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what the plan's going to be, but Saturday is going to be a Friday, and then Sunday is, the night before the game. And it's week 1 against Minnesota, here in your face. What's the process now for a first-time head coach to leave training camp behind, keep what you've taught, now fine-tune exactly what you're going to do to try and finish a game plan and a scheme that will beat the Minnesota Vikings on week 1?
The players are going to have an opportunity to take a look at their tablet, and when the game plan starts being inserted, they're going to have to look at a limited amount of information, but a maximum amount of information that they believe that can beat the Minnesota Vikings on offense and defense. So now the whole game planning process starts, Jeff, and I think it's going to be an incredible experience next week, because we're going to learn a whole new Ben Johnson, because it is not about training camp anymore. It's about actually getting prepared for an opponent. And I think it's going to be exciting to be able to talk about. And I think it's going to be just so exciting. That's going to start, whether it's on Monday or whether it's on Wednesday, that they're getting ready to play against the Minnesota Vikings, a divisional team, to start the NFL season on Monday Night Football.
I looked at the weaponry the Minnesota Vikings have added now. When you consider the running backs, Aaron Jones, you've got Jordan Mason, who I think is an outstanding back as well. It'll be a good compliment for Aaron Jones. Jordan Addison expected to be suspended, so he won't be available, but Justin Jefferson is. Jalen Naylor is. They brought back Adam Thielen. Yeah. That was a big move with Carolina, and he's very comfortable in that system up there, obviously. And you got T.J. Hawkinson at tight end. There is a lot to deal with the Minnesota Vikings for Dennis Allen's Bears defense. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, of course there is. But, you hope the support of the crowd noise inside Soldier Field is going to be unlike any other time. The offense is going to be as exciting as the last time they played in Soldier Field. And Ben Johnson, they're going to start being introduced to the head coach regular season Ben Johnson instead of the off-season preseason Ben Johnson. And I think that I'm more excited about Ben Johnson and his team development as much as anybody as I've ever been around here.
All right, it'll be interesting. We'll break that down much further next week. That's going to do it for us here on the podcast. We got Bears Weekly coming up on Thursday morning on ESPN 1000 at 11 a.m., a special edition because of timing and White Sox baseball, so check that one out as well. You'll hear from Olamide Zaccheaus, a one-on-one interview with him. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please subscribe now on the Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember that Bears fans, Steinhoffels is a proud partner of the Chicago Bears and now open in Orland Park. Steinhoffels is Chicagoland's furniture and mattress leader with the largest selection to fit every style and budget and is 100% employee-owned. Shop in-store and online at steinhoffels.com. Bear down, everybody.